got a question, ask Tom on HomeShow Radio.
This is HomeShow Radio live on Facebook and YouTube. Your questions, Tom's answers. Now here's Tom Tynan and Charlie Mosier.
And here we go with Home Show Radio Live right here on Facebook. I'm Tom Tynan, answering your home improvement questions that come in from our website, or you can ask right here. I know it's the last day of the year. We're going to say goodbye to 2020. You guys can fill in the blank on that one. I'm here with Charlie Mosier, and he's going to help me today get these questions answered.
Yeah, it's our last show of the year, and I decided to follow your leadership, Tom, and do the show from home today.
Well, you did last week from home.
I know. Well, I'm just saying, you are
You
the guy.
did it the week before from home.
Yeah, I'm saying, for 2 weeks. I'm doing it from home like you.
Oh, for now on?
No, but I'll tell you what, it's tempting. It's tempting because,
fine.
I know that sometimes you do the show and you don't wear pants, and I'm thinking, it could be a...
Well, why should I? You're not looking at down there anyway. So it's fine. I don't know. I think this year we have to start wearing pants again. I think that's a new rule. Getting back to normal.
We're getting back to pants. We're going to start wearing pants every day, yeah. So anyway, Tom and I get together here on Facebook and YouTube every week and answer the questions you send us at homeshowradio.com. That's what we do. But we're also here live. So that means if you want to send questions, you can put them right in there in the comment section below. Keep them clean. It's a family show. And we'll be happy to answer your questions here. Maybe you've got some home improvement New Year's resolutions we can help you with.
Yes, but not New Year resolutions. You're going to lose weight? You should have started early. I don't know what to tell you. You'll get around to it someday.
I mean, maybe your New Year's resolution is to is to get stuff done around the house, like, checking your filters more regularly.
That you can do.
Or
but
maybe
that's do every year, every month.
Or maybe
every
this
week.
This is the year you finally paint that mud room you've been putting off and things like that. Maybe there are projects like that around the house you want to get done and all that. So I know that we have a bunch of...
I like that.
Don't you have a mud room, don't you?
Yeah, but we don't call it mud rooms down in the South. We call that
That's
up
right.
north. It's a mud room.
Yeah.
Here,
Well, it's funny.
It's just like a mosquito breeding, thing. It's not a mud room.
Well, it's funny you say that because I never called it the mud room. My wife, who was born and raised here, is the one who calls it
She calls it a mud room?
Yeah.
That's where people lock up their dogs when they go away for the weekend.
In point of fact, that's what we use it for.
I know you do. I've been to your house. All four of them, they're going, let me out.
Three, and we're holding at 3. All right. Anyway, so let's. By the way, in case you're new to the show, Tom, you want to explain about the radio show where you can hear Tom on the weekend?
Oh, okay. Well, my whole experience dealing with people beyond the construction company, which is a little bit different, is radio. I've been on the radio 34 years here in the Houston area, but you can listen anywhere you want just by going to homeshowradio.com. Hit the listen button. I do believe that's what it is, and they're there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. But I've been answering questions for 34 years now. People who need help with their homes, and that's what we do.
In case you need help, Tom's here for you.
Yeah, or if you have just into homes. Our listeners tend to be into homes.
All right. So anyway, we're here live. You want to put questions in, put them in there. And by the way, I'm just take a delicious sip of this coffee before I get started.
It's too late in the day for coffee.
Oh no, it's never too late in the day for a delicious cup of Roast Tex coffee.
Okay. Now that you truly are Ed McMahon now. You're doing the commercials.
I truly am. I've got the dog here. I'm bringing the Alpo.
Okay.
Anyway,
well, I'm not eating the Alpo. That was Johnny did that.
This is a really good. I'm just telling you. We just finished their website. Zach just finished taking their website live, and they're selling this stuff live. But this is a project of Jim Hardwick at Ideal Roofing. He decided he wanted to get in the coffee business, so he has started this coffee company.
He didn't tell me that. Because I have not been drinking coffee.
Let me make sure the product shot is
not focusing.
It's not
too
focusing
close.
for some reason. Yeah, it's too
now
close
you got
for
it.
that one. There you
got
go.
The
All right.
You got the glare. No, you're a terrible commercial guy.
All right, Jim. I pimped it out. I get more free coffee now. All right.
I was drinking coffee from the grocery store. I gave it up. I hated it. I went to the true Texas coffee, which is Buc-ee's. And I brought some home, and I like that. So, Jim, I will do a little taste test between his and Buc-ee's and see which one's better.
how I know it's going to win. I'm telling you, this stuff is good.
Well, then I'll buy it.
It's the
Because
stuff.
I like Buc-ee's too. It's hard. I'm very picky.
Let's get to the questions here.
Yes.
First question comes to us from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. That's where we find Trevor, and he says that his house was built 100 years ago. So it's a relatively new house in Pittsburgh. Anyway,
That's true, actually.
he says they recently found out a 500 square foot addition was incorrectly built and sinking in one corner, causing step cracks all around the bricks. My choice is to either reinforce the foundation with push piers at a cost of about $18,000, or completely demolish the structure due to the expense and completely fix it for about $50,000 or more. What's your advice on this, Tom?
His choices are right. You can try to fix it with $18,000. There will be no guarantees. Nobody's going to guarantee it. Here's the problem: when you do something wrong, and you try to do something to make it right, especially when it comes to foundations, but it happens to do with framing, with all kinds of stuff, it tends to be a losing battle. But to give a good example, in the Houston area, we have foundations fail all the time because of a lot of different reasons I won't go into here. But putting piers underneath will make it stop moving. And if you can just stop it from moving, then you can fix all the other stuff and it'll be fine. Because that's all cosmetic, believe it or not. That's not the true structural problem. So I would, if it was me, if I felt I knew a company personally that I really knew that, or felt strong and confident that they knew what they were doing, I would go with the piers to see if it would work. I think you have a good chance of stopping any movement and then fixing all the bricks and stuff. That's actually a small part of what you're going to have to go through. It's stopping the movement, so I would try that first. But those are your two options. There's nothing in between. You can try, or the only guarantee is to rebuild it all brand new again. And of course, you can see the expense. And quite frankly, I think it'll be more than $50,000 when you're all said and done. Especially with today's prices, Charlie. I want to throw that out. As of 2021 right now, prices in the last few months have been slowly skyrocketing, if that makes any sense. And it's going to keep going up for the at least next 6 months that I've been told.
Two thoughts on what you said there, Tom. First of all,
Yes.
he should probably plan a pretty broad time span on this because of the availability of materials. I know there's been a lot about
Yes.
material shortages these days. And the other thing is, in choosing that foundation repair company, he wants to make sure it's they're in Pittsburgh. So obviously,
Yeah.
we can't recommend due west, which we would if they were down here, right? But this is a company you're going to be married to for the life of that house, because whatever warranty they have on it will only be covered as long as that company does work on the house in the future.
When somebody goes in to fix something that's been done really wrong, you're not going to get a strong warranty, and you can read them because there'll be different situations where they're just not going to cover it. So get very clear on what kind of warranty you have. And the other part of the warranty is this: will it transfer at sale of the house if you ever want to sell it? A lot of people say, oh, I don't care about that. I'm going to own this house till I die. Well, somebody's going to have to sell it someday. It might be your family members, and they might say have a few choice words for you, leaving them something that they can't sell properly. You've got to really take a close look at it and then make your decision on that. But it is a little bit of a gamble, no matter how you do it.
All right. Next question. We go to Gulfgate area here in Houston. Lisa says, I have 105 wood siding on my pier and beam home, and she plans to replace some rotted boards, and she's thinking about going back in with some tandem stacked stone composite siding panels on the bottom to keep moisture away from the home, and then continue with the 105 siding further up. Do you think it'd be better, she asks Tom, to use real stone or stone veneer rather than the composite stone? What would be your advice?
Composite stones, depending how they're made, it's a big word, but composite materials of all kinds, they're all very good, and in some cases they're better than the original. Some of the composite products I've used when it comes to stones or brick panels, they actually hold up better in the weather than natural stone. Natural stone needs a lot of maintenance. It needs to be cleaned. It needs to be sealed. Natural stones, they wear pretty. A natural stone, I'm trying to figure out how to put this, is only as strong as the Earth made it. Yet man-made stone can be stronger and more durable because, and that goes with synthetic woods and stuff too, because we have an opportunity of making it stronger than Mother Nature did. But either way, the big challenge I see you having here is if you're going to use a real stone and you don't have a brick ledge or a stone ledge for it, I'm not sure how they're going to detail that. But as far as that goes, if you want to just put a wainscot of stone on, and the composite stone's a good proven product and not something that's brand new on the market, I don't have a problem with it. In fact, in some ways, it's better.
I love the look of that stacked stone. I think it looks really nice there on the
Stacked stone's
detail.
great, but you got to stack it on something. And
Well,
if you
there's
have
that.
a house that doesn't have a ledge, how are you going to
that's
stack
true.
it up?
Well, I think
it's
what she's
it's like brick veneer. So if it's going to be put on directly to the framing, that's different. It depends on the application and how it goes on.
I think, let me go back to her question here for a second, because it says here she's using a composite siding panel on the bottom that would
Right.
look like
So
stacked.
that's going to go against the structure. So it's truly not a stacked stone.
Right.
It looks like a stacked stone. So I'm getting two different I don't know, words about what it is. And if it's
Yeah,
a
I
true
know, I'm
stacked
with you.
stone, it's stacked. What's that?
No, I'm with you. I hear you. No, it's
Yeah,
that's
so I got to cover both. I got to cover both bases.
Okay, fair enough. All right, I got a question here from CJ. He's watching us. He's just wrote in. He says, where Hardy meets stone exterior to roof line, the mortar has broken away, leaving gaps, and the gaps are too large for big stretch caulk. What should I use?
What was the beginning when Hardy meets what?
Well, he said, let me bring it back up here. He says, where
Yeah.
Hardy meets, and actually I'm going to make this, let me fix this while
An
I'm at this
exterior-
here. Do a little formatting here on the show on the fly here. Hi. He says, where the Hardy meets the stone exterior at the roof line. He
Okay.
says,
If-
the mortar, he says, doggone it, this thing's timed and it went away on me again.
No,
It's broken
I
away,
think-
leaving gaps.
Right. If you have a wood product that meets a masonry product, there's what's called a freeze board that goes on. The way the question is written, it says when the Hardy meets it. So I started to think that the Hardy was on the bottom. Stone's going to be on the bottom. Then above that, what it's going to do is it's going to transition into a wood siding or a Hardy type siding, which it looks like a wood siding. So the transition's the same. And what you end up having is what's called a freeze board. It's a board that goes along the bottom of the siding section that overlaps the stone. So you don't have any mechanical connection to it. It's actually like a skirt board that goes over the top. So that way the Hardy will move one direction, or the wood will move one direction, and the stone will do its own thing too. But you never see it because it's got a skirt in front of it. So he needs to look up, I don't know how else to explain it. You need to look up the word freeze board and see how it works. There's different types when stone or brick, any kind of masonry meets a wood or wood lookalike product.
So it's almost going to be like where a floor tile meets the wood, almost like it's sort of the same function like a quarter round or something, where it kind of covers it. Is that what you're saying?
It's going to cover it. It's not going to attach to it with mortar or something, because the wood or even the Hardy is attached to the wood framing. It moves. So anytime you try to put mortar or something against it, it's just going to slowly crack out. So what you do is you end up, the top of the board will be like this, or the stone, and then the freeze board will come over the top of it and hide the joint altogether.
Okay. All right. Let's get another one here. Benny is in Livingston. He says, is it necessary to remove, speaking of Hardy, is it necessary to remove Hardy boards when installing a ledger board for a 12 by 12 deck, Tom?
No, it's not, but it's the flashing detail that's important. If it's a deck on the ground, you need to make sure that water doesn't get behind there and sit and fester. So it has to have some kind of metal flashing that will go up underneath the Hardy and then down underneath the deck board, so you don't really see it. But any water that gets down there will want to pull away from the house and not get behind the Hardy or something of that nature. But you can put it on top as long as it's attached to the structure itself. And you have to go into the structure. You can't hide your ledger or hang your ledger board from the Hardy. But as long as you get your mechanical fasteners, which is like a lag bolt or something of that nature, into the frame behind there through the Hardy, so you pre-drill the Hardy first, you don't have much of a problem with that. But you do have to watch your flashing details with any kind of connection of a deck or a roof over the deck or a patio or anything like that. Those connections have to be flashed properly.
Okay. Oh, you got a question? By the way, if you got a question like CJ did, you can go ahead and enter it in our comment section, whether you're on Facebook or YouTube. We'll get them both here, and we can answer them for you while we're at it here. Fourth question we got for you comes from Mike in East Barnard. He says, we added a ridge vent when our old roof was replaced. Should we leave the gable vents open or close them? The home's 1,100 square feet. It's a ranch-style home built in 1945 with no eaves.
The gable vents should be open if you don't have any soffit vents. You've got to feed it somehow. You can't have too much ventilation. So you want it to get in, the air to get in, get out, move around, and remove the moisture from the air in the attic. That's the whole point. And the whole idea behind attic ventilation is to keep the attic the same temperature as the outside. And that means if it's 0 degrees or 100 degrees Fahrenheit on both examples, that you want the same temperature on the inside of the attic also. And that way you won't reach dew point on anything in the attic, and moisture won't build up inside the attic because moisture wants to go to warmer air. And even in the summer or the winter, if you don't let that air let the heat out in, say, the winter time, it's going to hold more water, which means you're going to get dripping and condensate. Your insulation's going to get water in it, and it won't work properly. So you want to keep the attic dry.
We got a question like that. We got another one coming up this week on our Ask Tom videos. We post a new one, by the way, every day at HomeShowRadio.com. If you haven't been there, on our Facebook page, if you're following us there, or in our YouTube channel, we post a new one every day. But Tom, we got a question last week, got another one this week from 2 different places in the country where people have had this moisture problem up in the attic that's literally causing dripping onto their insulation.
And that's the whole point. People think in the South, where the show's kind of based, and we're based in Houston, Texas, everybody thinks about getting rid of heat for the mere fact that it gets so hot down here. But there's places in the country that's got very moderate climates, very dry climates, and very cold climates, and they change. Some places people live, they have seasons. Unlike where a lot of other people live, people don't realize it. We don't have seasons. We have 2 seasons, hot and hotter. But the fact of the matter is you've got to release, no matter where you live, you've got to keep that attic temperature the same, and you've got to let the hot air, and even at 0 degrees, you're going to have some air that's going to be warmer than other air, so it's going to want to rise while the colder air drops. And as it rises, it's a sponge that collects water and takes it to the outside. And as long as it doesn't have somewhere to sit and not go anywhere, but just sit there a while and sit on a surface like, say, a metal can or something. I always use that as an example. It's the easiest thing, like a Coke can outside, and it starts to form condensate. You get water all over it. You get droplets of water. That's because the air's just sitting against it, has nowhere to go. You move that air, you move the water out, and it never turns to a liquid. It stays a vapor.
All right. Speaking of seasonality, T-Man up in North Carolina wants to know, Tom, do crawl space vents stay open or closed in the winter?
You always open them. It's the same thing. You want the moisture to get out. Summertime's actually more important than wintertime, unless you have a really wet winter. You can get, people always say, oh, I want a basement. Well, you go to some parts of the country, I'll use Maine as an example. Those basements get damp and nasty sometimes, and you have to acclimate them to get that moisture out because it's going to build up. So having a basement isn't always a dream place to go. It can be rather not good for you, to be honest with you, because it gets so much moisture built up. Mm-hmm. So the crawl space is the same thing. You want air to move. When air moves, you get rid of the moisture, and you have that same temperature under the house as you do the outside, and same as the attic too. Now, I know in basements you have to do it with a mechanical system, so people put dehumidifiers, they'll put heating systems, they'll try to do things like that. But in a crawl space in North Carolina, I would say leave it open, at least enough just to let the air move so you don't get a lot of water build up, especially during wetter times of the year. I know this is a perfect example today. There's this big front going across the country, and it'll sweep over North Carolina as well as other places too. We're at the tail end of it right now as we're doing the show, and it is super wet out there. So this is a perfect example of when you want that air to move, because it's going to be damp and dewy. Everything's going to be sweating right now.
Okay. Now, I listened to your answer very carefully, and I heard you say back there that the crawl space is not a dreamy space, or not a dream. What did you say?
Basement.
It's a basement. Okay.
Basement.
All
Have
right.
you been,
Well, then-
Charlie, you lived up in the Northeast. You go to some people's basements and they're wet, they're damp. You want to start coughing and hacking. People try to sleep down in a basement. You go into some areas of the country where basements are really dry. And it has a lot to do with how they're built, too. But those older homes, you get in some basements, and that's not a livable space. It's done for foundation issues and getting below the freeze line. I can get in all that science behind it. But the fact of the matter is they can be unlivable spaces sometimes in a basement.
Yeah, we don't deal with sump pumps in the Southwest.
No.
So,
But you do in the Northeast.
hey, Pablo, by the way, he says, you guys are awesome. I listen to you guys every weekend on Sports Radio 610. Happy New Year's. Thank you, Pablo.
Thank you.
Looks like from that picture, Pablo is going to have a Happy New Year, too. Just saying.
All right.
Okay. Thank you, Pablo. And thank you for watching, too. We got one more question to get to here. Our last question of 2021, unless you put some in, all right? Here we go. Or
No,
2020, rather.
before 2021. I thought you said
yeah,
of
I don't know.
2021.
I'm all confused.
Who cares? It's going back to normal tomorrow. Go ahead.
That's right.
Yeah.
Don't get me started. All right. Lewis in Spring of the Woodlands. He says, I'm going to have a small 10 by 16 foot concrete patio installed in my house in the Woodlands up here. He says, I heard you recommend show this weekend something about slope and the additive to prevent the concrete from cracking. Can you tell me the slope ratio and additive and any company I can get a bid from to do that? He says he got one bid from somebody for about $2,500, Tom, but can you fill him in on the rest?
Well, as far as the slope goes, you want the water to run away positively off. You want it to go somewhere where it's going to go away. For the concrete to sit underneath a bunch of water or puddle places, it's not good. So a slope has to be a minimum. People want to make this big slope like a roof. You don't need that. On a patio that you're just walking on, the slightest slope, and I call it a 1%, and you'll hear that word used a lot through engineers and stuff, which is basically 1 inch and 10 feet, and it can even be in half an inch and 10 feet, to be honest with you. But you want that 1% or less slope, just a little bit, to slope it in the direction to move the water away from the house. If you have just that little bit in the wrong direction, you're going to get maybe a half-inch puddle of water or a quarter-inch puddle of water that you're going to walk through all the time. And so it's just a very minor slope. It's kind of, it's not even as much as a plumbing pipe. It's even less than that. But as long as you have that, and that goes for drainage lines and anything you want to move water slowly, it will move. Water's going to find the lower point no matter how long it takes it and what the ratio is. It's going to go to that low point. And as far as the additive, there's no additive you can put into patios, but well, it is kind of an additive. If you use a fiber mesh concrete. A fiber mesh concrete is your aggregate, your sand, and your Portland cement. But then they put a polyester fiber in it too. They're these little fibers, like little tiny fingers that hold together. And it makes a real nice surface that is less prone to cracking because it holds real tight. So if you're going to do it and you want to order a fiber mesh, and you can even, depending on the size of the pour, you could buy it in bags at Home Depots and Lowe's. This last time I saw it, so it's pretty available and pretty common. They use it a lot for stepping stones and things like this, where they make small concrete pours that people use in different ways. But the fiber mesh would be the way to go.
This fiber mesh is not a mesh per se? It's a material that goes in that creates a mesh. Is that right?
It is. It looks like cotton. And so they put it in and they put it around. It's just little tiny single fibers that get all crossed together in the mixing process. And so it holds it tight and keeps it from shrinking, because you get shrinkage joints in concrete if it cures too fast, especially in hotter climates when you're pouring, when it's really hot. But you'll see it used a lot for warehouse floors and things like that, roads sometimes. Anywhere where you want to avoid all the cracking you can, the fiber mesh, which is not expensive. But it's just it is an additive, but it's not like a liquid chemical. It is an actual mechanical additive.
It seems to me that that's something you'd want to just by rote just put in a driveway or something.
Yes, they never do unless you ask for it, because it costs a little more. And anybody comes to your house, they're going to want to get the job, so they want to have the price as low as they can. And so they're not going to start putting a bunch of things in there and say, hey, look at our price. We're 20% more. You want us to do it? Because people say, heck no. So it's all in how you sell it to the clients. Okay.
I think about what they say at NASA. What is it that they're riding into space on a rocket built by the lowest bidder?
That's right. And I've seen that used in many different Facebook memes and things like that. But if I even use that word right. But as far as it goes, you don't want to be sitting
ladies
on the
and gentlemen, hold on just a minute. Stop the show. Tom Tynan just made an internet reference.
Yeah, but was it the right way? My kids say I always use the words wrong. So
I just
stay away from all of them.
You were spot on with this one. You got it. You nailed it, Tom. All right.
Okay. Well, that's for all my Facebook Live lookers. Okay, thank you.
There you go. You know, it's one good reason to have kids is they keep you young and hip. So, and broke. Let's see. Sandra.
Yes.
Sandra D has a question for you. She says, "My roof at the chimney is leaking. What should I be looking for?" I assume what she's saying, Tom, is how do I track down the leak? What's your advice on that?
Well, if you get a leak at the chimney, it could be the chimney. If you get a leak at your roof at the chimney, it could be the roof. So I'm not going to say, oh, just look for this and that's it. I mean, it's hard to find leaks, and that's why you get roofers or chimney sweeps out to go ahead and, troubleshoot it. Usually what you do is you start with a roofer. And if a roofer comes out and says, well, it looks like it's your chimney, and they'll give you some kind of explanation where it's the crown or the brick needs to be sealed or something of that nature, they'll refer you to a chimney sweep who takes care of the chimneys. But you usually start with a roofer to make sure it's not the counter flashing or the flashing, or you have even a more severe problem on the roof, but they don't deal with chimneys. And that's where you have two different contractors, and you have to find out which one's going to fix the leak. But for me or anybody to say, just go up there and look at point A and that's it, I don't know where it's leaking, but please get it fixed. Don't ignore it, because it can cause a huge amount of damage. And this is when you call in someone that does this every day for a living. It probably won't cost you much to get it fixed. It's finding it. And if you try to do it yourself and you go 2 years, 3 years, and you thought you had it and you didn't, and then you get all that damage later, then it's going to be pretty pricey to fix.
Mm-hmm. As many times as I've heard Tom say, if you want to figure out to put your finger in it, this isn't one of those cases.
No, that's more for plumbing and bathrooms.
Oh, okay. All right.
If you want to know if it's wet, stick your finger in it.
Stick your finger in it,
yes.
Yeah. And
I don't know how else to tell. I mean, that's just, I don't mean to be dirty or anything.
No,
people say,
no.
Tom, don't say that. No, it's you. Somebody said, is it wet? I said, I don't know. Stick your finger in it. You'll find out. It'll feel wet.
There's never a double entendre around. No double entendres. We barely have single entendres around here.
Okay.
But anyway.
I'll just smile because I don't know what that means.
Yeah, that's right. It's French or something. I don't know. Anyway, it's French, so only works 3 days a week. But if Sandra is here in the Houston area, of course, we'd recommend our HomeShow.
Oh, Ideal Roofing. I didn't know because you didn't tell me where, so I don't know. Throw stuff out.
Well, when they come in from our comment section on YouTube and Facebook, we don't know where they are.
Right,
so I'm just saying, on the off chance you are in the Houston area, Sandra, you want to call Ideal Roofing. You can find them, by the way. Let me go over and show them here, right over here on the Home Show Pros section here at HomeShowRadio.com. You know, you can find them, scroll down. We keep all of our Home Show Pros cleverly concealed here on the home page. So you can find them, click on their name. Or if you're not sure who you're looking for, you can search for them here in the directory area. And Sandra says, yes, she is in Houston. So we recommend you make a love connection with Ideal Roofing. And if they don't do it, Tim Johnson, our ace marketing guy, is quick to remind you. You can also contact Lord's Chimney for that.
I was about to say that, Tim. Can Tim just mind his own business? There, I got you, Tim. No, I was going to say, what'll happen is if it's your chimney, also call Lord's Chimney. And they're on our list too. But Tim, thank you. You're a very nice man.
The sales guys are always trying to crowd their way into the broadcast booth.
Exactly. Patience. We're getting there. Yes, here I am. Here I'm not.
Yeah, whatever. All right.
Maybe Jim will give out free coffee, cups of coffee to all his customers. That's right. I can't believe he's in the coffee business. Okay. Jim Hardwick. Good. Cup of coffee. He should give away a sample package to all his customers. I'm going to call him. Maybe he'll call me now if he hears this.
No, I think he's going to call you in a minute.
Say, Tom, shut up, Tom. Quit telling people that.
No, actually,
he has my cell number.
Jim will tell you that this is something that's been near and dear in his heart. And I'll tell you, they have one. They have a blend in here And
Yes.
and I will tell you, this is purely a personal endorsement because we haven't been paid for this yet. And so, but this stuff is they have one called Big Ben blend that they make that is so good you won't want to put milk or sugar in it. It is that it's that rich and that good. So and where on earth would you find this? It says here, roastexcoffee.com.
Roastex.
All right.
All right.
So anyway, so
Sample bags, Jim, to all your ideal customers.
Right. I wish, if we were broadcast professionals, we would have arranged to get like some sort of discount code or something on there. And
yeah, right. Okay, BOGO.
BOGO. No.
That's all I know. But Sandra, my wife, taught me that one. BOGO.
All right. Well, hey, as Tom's dad once said, it's time to land the plane.
Yeah, let's land it. He said it many times, actually.
So tell them where to find you, Tom, on the radio.
Okay, this weekend, we're starting our brand new 2021 series of radio shows. Things are going strong, so we're going to be here through the year. And it's Saturday, 9 to noon, and Sunday, 8 to 11. And there'll be no more early shows until football season, which is really far away, so we don't care about that right now. And we're back to 6 hours every weekend. And you ready to put up Danny? There you go. 9 to noon Saturday, 8 to 11 Sunday. And then before me on Saturday is Danny Milliken, the garden expert, and he knows his stuff. Nice guy, has a group of people. Charlie will explain what they are because I always get it wrong, but there are garden pros and there are nurseries all over the Houston area. Am I right?
Independently owner-operated nurseries in and around Houston. Hey, David, thank you for watching us here today on New Year's. He says he listens every Sunday morning on his way to church, which is great.
Thank you, David.
I do the Sunday.
You guys have a good, safe holiday.
David, I do the Sunday morning early edition with Tom before I go to church, so that's the deal.
Yes.
So anyway, hey,
and I made a deal with God 34 years ago that I got to
he's-
get missed church because I got to be on the air, so it's a church of Tom. I say a little prayer before
he
we go
wants
on.
to know, by the way, what's the best time of year, Tom,
Yes.
to paint the exterior of his house before we check out here today?
That's fine. Not today. Okay.
No.
The reason I say that, and I say that jokingly, is I was looking for a project today because I'm stuck home bored, and I was going to paint the door of my garage, the exterior door, not the big one, the one I walk through. And I touched it with my hand, and it's really dewy. You don't want to do it, obviously, when it's raining, so that's an obvious thing that David already knows. But your temperatures should be somewhere between 50 and 90 degrees. It's a surface temperature you worry about. If it's in the summertime, you can go ahead and paint in the shade. As long as you give it an hour or so to set up, you're fine. So really, any day that's not raining in the Houston area, you're in good shape unless you're going to be painting directly in the sun and it's in August and it's really hot. Then you probably want to avoid that because the paint dries out too quick and doesn't cure. But for the most part, it's surface temperature and you want it dry. And so this is a great time of year to paint, except on days like today when we're sitting in the middle of a swamp.
Yeah, today would be a perfectly good day to go brew yourself a cup of... Okay, I'll stop. All right.
No, stop.
No more
But
coffee.
you know what?
All
That
right.
question is more pertinent. No, that's a good question. That question is more pertinent to people in North because you can't paint when it's freezing. When it goes
Right.
down around below 50 or 40, 45 degrees, the paint doesn't have a chance. It'll just stay sticky and nasty the whole time. So for the Houston area and all of South Texas and a huge part of the country for that matter, we don't really have a big issue at the time of year as long as it's dry out. But in some parts of the country, they have to be really careful because of the cold weather.
True that.
Yep,
All right, hey.
just that way it is.
But, now that we're on final approach here to wrap this thing up, I just want to add one more thing. We love getting your questions, and thank you for making this year such a great year. We this for Home Show Radio. There's a lot of work done around houses this year. We're really thrilled that you trusted us for advice and that you trusted our Home Show pros to help you. And remember, they're around and available to you anytime. You can find them on our website there at homeshowradio.com. Now, if you would like to get a question to us, we post new ones every day. In addition to these, at by the way, David says he's thinking about doing it in the spring. So good.
It's back to the rain because we can get some springs that never stop raining. So just watch the rain in Houston, and besides that, spring is fine.
Fair enough. Now, you want to get us questions, go ahead, visit homeshowradio.com and click on that blue Ask Tom button right in the middle of the page. You can fill it out. And when you get there, you can send us either a form, answer a question, attach a picture even if you want, or you can go, if you want to get real creative, you can send us a video, because there's a link there where you can do that. So anyway, so that is the deal. Appreciate y'all being with us. Janice, thank you for being with us here today too. Appreciate you being out there. Appreciate everybody joining us and making these broadcasts so much fun. We will be back to start it again next Thursday at 4 o'clock live here on Facebook and YouTube. And in the meantime, you can find answers to your questions at our website at homeshowradio.com. Have a happy New Year, Tom.
Thank you. Hello, 2021.
Got a question? Ask Tom on Home Show Radio. Home Show Radio. Free advice from a pro who knows. Home Show Radio. Home Show